Hey, I'm Vic,
And I'm Christine,
and
and
we
we
are
are
the
the
St.
St.
John's.
John's.
One of the things we're going to be doing this season, this year, with kind of just the growth in the digital community that's been happening after the show and all of us kind of seeing our DMs and the conversations happening, it's like we want to figure out how do we steward this community that's been growing and coming together.
Yeah, I think the show really set us up, like leaving the viewers wanting more, which at the time we were like really thankful for because being on TV was a little, I think, nerve-wracking for us. It's not really in our personality. So we thought it was great, but we know y'all wanted some more. So here we are, hoping to give you guys some more.
Yep. So we're going to talk about everything from marriage, our marriage, love, faith, lifestyle. We know who the stylish one out of us to maybe pop culture, whatever just comes up, things y'all are interested in, just to, again, just nurture this community as we kind of grow together.
And we just want to thank you all for being on this journey with us. You know, we wouldn't be necessarily sitting here without your guys' love and support. So we thank you, and we're excited to take you along the journey to get a little bit more insights on the St. John's. All right, so let's dive in.
Let's dive in. This first episode is about, or we'll
Us.
focus, yeah.
Yeah, it's more so about us. So letting you guys have a little bit insight to kind of who we are, or who we were, I guess, prior to coming together. So, you know, Vic's childhood and his upbringing, and then how, you know, he ended up on Love is Blind, and kind of the same for me. So kind of our background stories and how we got here. Yeah, so you want to tell them where we are now?
I mean, we're married.
I meant literally where we are.
Oh, we're in Brooklyn, New York. We're in Brooklyn, New York right now.
Yeah, which is?
What, my hometown? Yeah, so
We got there.
yeah, we're in my hometown. We're in Brooklyn, New York, right? And I think it's like, what better place to kind of kick off just the very first episode of kind of our love journey, right? So I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, born and raised out here, specifically in a neighborhood called Flatbush, right? So that's where like, a lot of Caribbeans live, a lot of people migrate
Which he actually just took me to recently. We spent Christmas up here in Flatbush, and I got like the full tour, so I got to see his childhood home and meet some more of the family and kind of see the old stomping grounds. So it's cool to be back here.
Yeah, because Christine has some new sisters now, so she met everyone except my oldest sister, so it was very important that she had a chance to do so, and she did. And one of my nieces, who she didn't get to meet at the time, so we had Christmas out here, and you were able to meet everybody. So I grew up with 4 sisters, my mother, so woman-dominant household, very loving, very nurturing space.
Which that explains why he's such a good guy, I think. That's a big part of it, right? You know what it's like to be around women and to know what they need and to be respectful. And, you know, I think there's a lot of really good qualities that come from his sisters and from your mom.
Yeah, definitely.
So no brothers for everybody that's been asking.
No, I got to say, even like, I feel like there's almost like a balance in that. Like the absence of my father in my life also kind of led me down some interesting roads, but I learned kind of bits and pieces of like what it is not to be a man and to be a man, right? Because I think that's something young men can relate to, and when you're trying to find yourself and you don't have, let's say, immediate role models or people you immediately can just look up to and get guidance for in terms of what it means to be a man, you figure it out in different ways. And I think sometimes you can figure out in ways that are just like harmful for yourself or harmful to others and things like that. So I think my journey, again, in Brooklyn, New York, and the Caribbean heritage and all of that, in the absence of the father, also kind of helped shape some
So what do
things.
you think is your biggest life lesson, or I guess what molds you the most about being from Brooklyn, you think?
Oh, what molds me the most is that life can be tough. I think that life can be tough. There are going to be hardships. There are going to be pitfalls. There could be roughness in patches and journeys. And I think part of it is learning even in the midst of those hardships and finding ways to grow in the midst of those hardships. So, yeah.
Good stuff. It's interesting because we come from such different backgrounds, but yet there's a lot of common ground and a lot of similarity in it too. You know, I've kind of joked like you're just like the city version, and I'm the, you know, you're more urban in that sense, and I'm the rural version of it. But there are like a lot of common grounds between us because I'm from middle of nowhere, Southern Ohio. You know, I graduated with 46 students,
Crazy.
and it's a public school. It's not private. You know, surrounded by cows and cornfields. And so we were very small and not a lot of diversity, not a lot to do, kind of had to be creative. And so my upbringing was vastly different, than in Brooklyn. But
Yeah.
so that's where I grew up, a little tiny area called Morristown, Ohio. It's actually technically a village. Did we drive through Morristown?
I feel like we
We
did.
did. I think I
Yeah.
showed you my high
The
school.
hospital too,
in
right?
Hillsboro.
Okay.
Hillsboro, which is like the city, which actually has grown quite a bit. Yeah, we've definitely been to Hillsboro a few times. So yeah, I don't really know which one to really take claim on as my hometown.
Yeah, both.
Yeah, both. So I think that Hillsboro molded me a lot of ways too.
Mm.
It definitely left me wanting to experience more, I think people are great in small towns, but at least in my mind, I didn't want it to feel like small-minded and isolated. Like I wanted to meet new people and experience new things and see different places. And so when I graduated high school, I was pretty eager to kind of switch sides and move a bit more to a city. So how about you? Were you want to tell them what you did after high school, where you went?
After high school? Shoot, I barely made it out of high school. Yeah. It's funny, as you're talking, like multiple things are just flowing through my head. One is that I know you do a good move sound, but I wasn't going to put you on the spot. But something else was...
There's an inside joke with my family about that one.
Oh,
we won't go into detail.
Oh, yeah. But she did it. She did it for me. She did the move. And I looked at her like, oh, my, what did I get myself into?
Calling me out.
No, but yeah, I barely made it out of high school. I'm not going to lie. And part of it was being tied to kind of what does it mean to be a man? And I think part of it was getting caught up in things I shouldn't have been caught up in, or idolizing things I had no business idolizing. And that easily pulled me astray. And I think people from the inner city can easily relate to that too, especially young men who don't have father figures in their life. And then you can get trapped in it in some ways, like never grow out of it. And that didn't hit me until like certain things started happening, like people passing away, or people going to jail. And it was like, oh, snap, that's what's next, right? Like that is what's next. Like I was always a logical person. And it's funny because people think people who are knuckleheads are like dumb. And I don't think that's true. I think there's some of the brightest people out there, like chess players and all that. I was playing chess back in the days and with some other folks. But it was like, oh, this is where that goes. So like high school's about to be over. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. Long story short, I told you about Miss Keela as one of my principals at the time. Yeah. Man, she was strict. She had a tight shift. I transferred into the school. I was able to play football to kind of have an excuse, a legitimate excuse not to be running around and to...
Quick question.
Yeah.
This was prior to when you really found God, right?
It's funny because...
Or kind of in the process?
Yeah, you could say that because I feel like I found God at different times. So the younger version of me, I found God because you were kind of forced to be in that setting. Your family brings you to church and things like that, and you're like, oh yeah.
So not necessarily as your own volition, but like you knew of His presence, you knew who He was. Okay.
And I heard Him, and I ignored Him.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. But I was playing the football, and then Miss Keelas was able to waive certain classes and allow me to do certain night schools and things like that. And the next thing you knew, I was able to graduate on time, right?
God used her, sure, yeah.
Yeah. Let me tell you this funny story, and then I'll shut up because I can be chatty.
No, I like news stories. We've only been married a year, so although we know so much about each other, like, it's moments like these and really everyday things, like new stuff is going to pop up all the time. So
yeah, that's true.
Talk away.
All right. One piece I'll tell you about before college was all the colleges I applied to rejected me. And in New York City, there was this thing where you could check off a box and it automatically goes to all the CUNYs, all the city universities. My dumb self didn't check off the box. So I didn't apply to any CUNYs. I applied to just a bunch of universities and state universities, and all of them denied me because my grades were crap. Even though I graduated on time, my grades were crap. So I'm like, oh snap, I'm not gonna be going to college. I don't know what I'm about to do with my life. Like, it's a wrap. I might be a bum on the street or something's about to go left. Like, what do I do? And my cousin Jamie, his mom, man, she don't play. She was like, I want you to come up with me to SUNY Old Westbury. That's the undergrad state university. Yeah. And we're going to talk to admissions. We went to admissions and she was pretty much like, my son goes here, Jamie, my cousin, and he needs to go here too.
Oh,
Like, what does he need to do to get
yeah.
in here? Y'all had rejected him and everything, and they're like, have him do this and such. Like, it was like some other tests. And last minute, I got accepted to SUNY Old Westbury.
Yeah. A neat story. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, shout out Mrs.
Kinlock?
Kinlock.
Miss
Okay.
Kinlock.
Okay. Jamie's mom. And what's her name?
Oh, Miss Keeles is the principal.
Okay.
And then
Okay. That's who I was thinking of.
Jamie's mom is Miss Kinlock.
Okay.
So
She's the one that was
Julie.
been on our fridge, right?
Yeah, Julie.
Yeah,
Julie,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
still on our fridge. You're still on our fridge.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff.
What about you? So you wanted to run away from the small
Yeah,
town?
because again, like I feel like some of our relation, like a little bit of being lost as like a teenager, and I can relate to that too, but again, just a different version of it because, I had the best mom in the world. She worked her butt off, full-time jobs, essentially raising like 3 kids, really. For those of you that don't know, I'm kind of sort of like an only child. I have 2 sisters that are much older. I mean, like 22 years older, 14 years older. So my sister had kids young. And so my mom really was, raising me and then also helping raise my niece and my nephew. And my sister was obviously kind of involved in raising all of us. So it was like a half sister relationship and half second mom relationship. But in the home, it was just my mom and I. And my mom worked a lot. She was a nurse and worked an hour and a half away in Cincinnati in the city. And so I was kind of a latchkey kid quite a bit. And I think this is probably like one of my earliest testaments that I can acknowledge and recognize like as an adult is how present God was through those years. And I didn't even realize it. At the time, I'm just being a teenager doing my thing. But looking back, it's like I could have turned out so completely different.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take credit for me making my own decisions and doing what I did. And my mom, great mom, but she was like a little absent too because she had to be. And then my dad wasn't in my life. So I didn't really have like a ton of guidance. And so, especially when I was, like freshman, sophomore year, I was hanging out with a little bit older crowd because most of my friends when I was a freshman were seniors, just such small school, small town vibe, it's just kind of natural. And I definitely went through like a party phase where I was kind of running around a bit. And again, we would have like parties in backyards. And I think we even had like a party in a cornfield once. So like, but that was kind of what I was up to for a long time. And I always joke that I was a good, bad kid because although I was kind of running the streets a little bit as a teenager, I still had straight A's. I was still trying to get involved in my church, like on and off. Yeah. I did post-secondary. I played a ton of sports. I was on the National Honor Society. Like, and why? Why did I do all those things? I don't know what really my drive was. But I made it. I even moved out. I got my own apartment. I think I've told you that. And I lived with my 2 friends, Casey and Courtney, the twins, when I was 17. And I was really on my own my whole entire senior year. And there's just been so many opportunities where things could have taken like a big left, just like in your situation. And somehow I was able to keep taking those rights and made it to Cincinnati and made it to college. And, fast forward, master's degree, never thought that was like in my cards, and then ultimately all the steps that led us here. So
God had his hand in that.
Absolutely, because there's no other explanation. Like there really isn't.
The stats, beating the stats, which is like a bittersweet topic sometimes too, because it's like oh, you beat the statistics, but then you think about like why does that have to be the statistics, right? Like why is it set up that way, right? Or what are the structures and the systems that allow it to be where it's like you going to college means you just beat the statistics, right? Why isn't it that everyone could just be able to go to college and experience what you've experienced or what I've experienced, right? Or why is it that everyone can't have a Julie champion them and get them in the college, right? And it makes things like a little bit bittersweet in some ways. Yeah.
And it takes a lot of self-confidence. Again, I don't think I realized it in the moment, but you got to take chances and you got to do those applications. You got to check those boxes. You got to put yourself out there. And, it's scary, especially me even moving to Cincinnati from my hometown was scary. Like that was a really big change, a big jump. And you kind of have like that, I don't know if insecurity is the right word, but you kind of feel like a fake almost, like, can I do this? Am I going to succeed in college? Can I do this? And it
Mm,
is really hard to bury that. But when you kind of let your guard down and um, let God lead the way, like, you can make it out, you got to take those steps. God's not going to magically turn the lights on and make your life perfect. There does take some planning and some action on your side, but doing those first steps is what's going to set that cycle. And so I just want to, say that I think a lot of people, whether it's your hometown or whether it's your career or your education, your family, whatever it may be, like,
hmm
just take the little baby steps and get the actions going and kind of let God do the work.
Yeah, yeah. Regardless, because even if like, shoot, I don't know, you aren't able to. If your goal was to leave the community for whatever reason, because you want more education, exposure to diverse settings and things like that, and you aren't able to get that, I think there might be a purpose in you
For sure.
not having that experience.
Gosh, if we talked about things that we thought we wanted or that we prayed for or, whatever,
Mm,
and how life goes different ways, we wouldn't be here. So I think there is something to say about unanswered prayers too. And yeah, kind of finding your purpose where you end up. That's a really good
where you're
point.
placed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there's a reason. Like God will use you.
Yeah. It doesn't mean like that you're a failure or that you're less than if you're not where you want to be in life or you don't have the things that you like initially thought. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So, how did you get onto Love is Blind? Like, what happened between getting into college and let's kind of fast forward to what,
Love
I guess to even you even applying for the show.
applying.
Yeah, kind of get us up to speed there.
So I applied because a very close friend of mine was pretty much like, "Hey, they're coming to your town. I think you be a good fit. I know
Yeah.
about kind of your past, what you're looking for, the whole nine."
Shout out Karen.
Shout out to Kate. And I took a look at the application. And at first, I'm like, "Nah, I'm not gonna fill this out. Like,
Mhm.
this is not what I want to do." But I found myself circling back to it, and probably because I realized like the relationships I was trying to cultivate and build on my own just weren't working. So I'm like, might as well just take a look at this. Don't get me started on dating apps and things like that. The golden retriever stuff that people put on there, and you need that energy and things like that. That's good for some folks. That's not my style. Like I am like
We know you're a Doberman.
I'm a, a Doberman, and I meant that. It's funny. The internet went wild with
I
that
know.
one. No, but I'm just a slower burn. Like
Yeah.
when it comes to like getting to know someone and finding a person. And when I sat with those questions, it kind of highlighted that. I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is like introspective. I'm not doing work. I'm here just thinking about, yeah, what is it that I want out of love? Where are things where I failed in the past and I can show up better? What are deal
Mm-hmm.
breakers? All these things. And before you knew it, I went through all the questions and I hit submit on the application. Yeah, and it was like late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like very, very late in the game.
Yeah, we'll touch on that, I guess, in a second. Because my side of it,
Yeah.
I guess I felt kind of lost in dating. Like I've had one serious relationship in the past.
Mm.
And then since that, I've just been kind of trying to like reevaluate myself and reevaluate like what I really wanted in a relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'd spent like the past few years dating and just nothing was sticking and nothing like really felt right. And for me, I saw the application like being advertised on social media. And at first I thought it was like spam. And I was like, Love is Blind in Ohio. And then I clicked it and it took me to the application. I was like, why not? Like, I think I had work the next morning. I was sitting in my apartment, just me and Jill, my cat. And
Jill. Don't play with Jill.
we'll get to Jill. And yeah, kind of the same thing. Like I started filling it out and was like, ooh, like this is interesting. And oh, that's a good question. I never thought about this. And so before I knew it, I was like probably 2 hours. I don't know how long it took you to do it, but I spent a while on that thing. But it was the same thing. It was like really cathartic. I was like, these are so introspective and things that felt like would you'd be from Cosmo magazine back in the day, but like advanced, right?
Yeah.
More emotionally tied and stuff. And so it was really fun to go through those. And I was like, well, if anything, this is going to help me find my person regardless, even if I don't get cast for the show.
That's a good point.
And it was kind of just like for giggles, really applying. Like I even text my coworkers and was like, ha ha ha, like I think I put you as a reference or something, not thinking anything would come of it. And then a couple months later is when I started the interviewing process. But mine started back in, what would that have been? Summer
like the year
We filmed
before?
in 2025. So summer 2024 is when I applied and started interviewing. And then yours wasn't until, like you said, a couple weeks.
Yeah, in 2025, like a couple weeks before I got pulled into
Yeah.
the pods.
And I've said this before, like I really thought you were handpicked for me. Like I was
Mm,
totally convinced that they looked at my application, things that I wanted in a partner, this,
yeah.
that, and the other, and were like, oh, this man's going to be perfect for Christine. Because I think there is probably like some kind of matchmaker component to it. Like
Mm,
they're not going to pick 16 random men that have nothing to do with the qualities these 16 women want and vice versa. Like
right.
I'm sure there has to be some kind of process
Some,
behind it. At least in my mind there was. So I was so convinced that they were kind of planting me
mm,
and you together. And then when I found out you didn't apply until last minute, I was like, oh, my theory is totally wrong.
totally
Like,
off.
yeah, this is something else.
Yeah, while you were yeah, because that timeline, while you were interviewing, I was
Mhm.
still figuring out the dating game, still dating,
That's
and the whole.
crazy.
I think I spun the block and like an old um connection, the whole thing. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. Like we were in like two different phases.
So I was cathartically going through my application process when you were taking an ex on a date.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, full circle, huh? Yeah,
Hey,
it is.
but I feel like you just kind of stabbed me a little bit. Like, my body went,
No, that's a part of our past, you know. I
yeah.
think that's what makes this real, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
we were living normal lives I mean, really up until we didn't find out we were actually going onto the show until maybe a week before.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you're going until you're not, you know, at least for me, because like when I started interviewing um, back in July, or I guess I shouldn't say interviewing, that's not really a great word, but when I, you know, started this whole application
The
process,
applications.
it was kind of like, well, okay, like there's a chance you're still going, but I could get a call in any day and be like, yeah, we decided to go with someone else, or we don't think this is a good fit, or, you know, what have you. So,
Yeah.
you know, you're not going to put your life on hold
Yeah.
in hopes to meet someone on reality TV. I'm like, no, it's July or, you know, whatever.
Mm,
If I meet somebody and have a date on Saturday, maybe that would have been my person. You know, it's like,
yeah.
I think that's kind of a misconception about these things. It's like, well, why were you dating someone 3 months before the show? Why were you on a dating app? I mean, I guess
Yeah.
it's different if you're serious with somebody, but you know, the purpose is to find your person,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so you don't put your whole life on hold and hoping that it comes out in the public eye. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I don't think you should put yourself on hold. And I don't even think there's a time parameter per se on
Yeah.
like dating and things like that or relationships. I think it's more so where are you mentally when or if you get the
Yeah.
call
Mhm.
for that, right? And if you
Yeah.
felt like you were in a good place, and I felt like I was in a good place. Yeah.
Definitely. Me too.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Good timing.
Yeah, perfect timing. God's timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now,
Hmm.
fast forward.
What?
Actually, it's been like exactly a year, right? Yeah, I think we were probably planning our wedding
Right
this
now?
time last year.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're watching this now, this is dropping on our actual anniversary, which is April 9th. And that's the day
Yeah.
we got married. So it's you're watching this now, so it's technically we're not together for a year, but
Very, very close,
but
though.
very, very soon. Like,
Close to where we're already planning our first anniversary together. So
Yeah.
I guess we don't really know what we're doing just yet. But we kind of know like the gist. We know what the goal is.
Yeah. It's to
Right.
relax. The goal is to
Yeah.
relax, to have some time, just unplugged, recreate kind of the experience to the extent that there's no like tech and things like that really involved.
Yeah, turn off our phones, kind of just spend time alone and getting to talk again and have that quality time and no outside distractions. So very
Yeah.
pod-esque.
Anniversary.
Yeah.
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 It kind of has a different weight to it too, given that it's like your marriage anniversary. Though I mean, anniversaries, I feel like we used it when we were younger. Like, yeah, we've been dating for 1 week. It's our 1 week anniversary. And it was just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
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 But this is like our actual marital
Big one.
anniversary, the big one. I think there's a question there, which is like what is the importance of an anniversary? Like, why do we care so much as a society about anniversaries and things like that? And I'm curious what your thoughts are around that.
Like in terms of marriage or relationship anniversaries to start with?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of like birthdays, I guess. You know, I think everyone
Mm.
kind of has like their own hopes and dreams for their anniversary, and it could be totally different for somebody else. So I feel like it's kind of person to person or relationship to relationship.
Okay.
I think there's something really beautiful about acknowledging that date, right? Like it is
Mm,
this special, I guess kind of for us, our marriage, like it's kind of like a holy day for us, like it's a big deal
yeah,
because that marriage wasn't just a promise between me and you, but it was like me, you, and God. And so, I mean, like it's like this very
yeah,
sacred day, I guess. So
yeah, yeah.
I think that's why it's so important to me. Like, I feel like it's going to be like a day of reflection. And
Hmm.
we've actually talked about we keep like a Vic and Christine box,
Oh yeah.
like
What's in the
little,
box?
yeah, not that box, different box.
Oh yeah,
Um,
not that box.
actually, it is that
Oh
box.
yeah, we took the stuff out of
Literally,
that
it's that
box.
box. It just has other stuff in it.
Yeah.
Um, but like key cards to even the Calamigos Ranch,
Oh
like that
yeah.
we went to in Malibu. We have like the little key
Hmm.
card and little trinkets from there,
Hmm.
or plane tickets, or it goes on and on and on. We
Yeah.
have like it's our memory box.
Yeah.
So we've actually talked about on our actual anniversary, wherever we go to spend that day, we're gonna bring that box and kind of open it up. It's gonna be
Go
like a
through it.
time capsule
Yeah.
and kind of going over and reflecting and kind of going down memory lane with all the things that made our past year. So
Special.
yeah, that'll be really cool.
It's funny you mentioned I'm with you in terms of just kind of the sacredness of that day to us, the specialness of acknowledging it and
Yeah.
having it together. And then you also used kind of birthday as a reference, and then that threw me off for a bit because it made me think of I don't know if I don't know if it's healthy or unhealthy or how to categorize this, but I remember when I was young, I wasn't necessarily a fan of my birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I would rather it pass by and not have like some
Interesting.
crazy thing happen. Or if something happened, like maybe something
Yeah.
subtle, some cake or something. But I never was like, oh, okay, I need this big party or I want that
Yeah.
and I want to reflect or something like that. And I think
I
even, yeah,
I feel like you're just such like a humble, chill guy. Like maybe that's why you think it was more
mm,
like an attention. Whereas like this, a wedding anniversary isn't necessarily for the world or like just you on the spotlight getting recognized. It's about recognizing like what we built and what we have.
yeah,
I think it's more sentimental. It's a little less vain, I guess,
yeah,
than
yeah,
a birthday.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's spot on. See,
Yeah.
she's the smart one of us two. She's the smart one. She actually just broke down everything I was saying. She just pieced it together.
I know
Yeah.
you pretty well, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. You called you called the 7-year-old version of me who didn't want to party. Oh no, 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 no. My head just twisted it out. Because I would say vain, which means that
No, you were humble
I
even
was
as a
humble as
7-year-old.
seven year
Yeah,
old, yeah.
that's pretty
Again, she's the
impressive.
smart one of us two. Even though I'm a professor and all that. There goes the brains.
Silly. So our first year, how about like gifts and stuff? Like, do you think that's something that like you need on an anniversary? Like if you come home from work and it's your anniversary and I didn't say anything or I didn't get you anything, like would you feel some type of way?
Maybe I would. I think I would. Actually, yeah, I would. I would feel away if it
Okay, I
was
gotta
our
get the planning.
anniversary and you didn't say anything.
Well, I guess not saying
Yeah.
something's different than I guess like not getting a
A
gift.
gift?
Yeah.
Nah, I'll be fine. I'll be fine if you didn't get me a gift, honestly. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is gift for number one? Paper?
So what?
Why isn't gift for year one supposed to be paper? There's all these different
I
things.
never heard
We'll
about
have
that.
to look into that. Maybe we can find something like
You
cute to
just
do
made
with
that up.
that.
So she just made that up. I never heard the gift to you
No, there's like a material, like different kind of gift you're supposed to get for each year of
each year of
marriage.
marriage.
Yeah. I don't think anybody does it. It's kind of old school, but it'd be kind of
So I
fun.
just got to get you like paper.
Honey?
Oh, hockey mushrooms. Part of my French. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So anniversaries, birthdays. I think what other big days, like
Um,
celebrations. Well, we have my car accident. This is a total different kind of anniversary, but I mentioned it in the pods, and obviously you know like the ins and out of the car accident.
yeah.
I guess for the listeners who maybe don't know, I guess probably most people don't know a lot of the details.
Yeah.
My best friend and I, and then her mom, were in a really severe car accident my senior year of college. Witnesses said that we flipped 15 to 20 times, going 70 miles an hour.
Hmm.
And so even just surviving that is a blessing in itself, right? And, I will kind of skip over a lot of the details, but my best friend and I, Tori, even like to this day, during the date of that accident, we celebrate our anniversary of survival. We call it
Hmm.
our survivorsary.
Hmm.
So even something like that, where you can take a day. Like, so for her and I, like,
Mhm.
she lives in Cincinnati, we're in Columbus, so we don't get to hang out like every day, like we used to in college. So
Right.
that's like a special day, a special week of the year that her and I spend time together and catch up
Mhm.
on life. And we really use it to kind of the same thing. Like, we reflect on life and celebrate life, and that we kind of had the second chance and where we're going. And even,
Mhm.
I guess, in a marriage, it's important to take time to plan for the future and like,
Yeah.
what do you want to do in the next year, the next 5 years, what's our game plan? And so her
Yeah.
and I kind of do that too, and it's been neat, like in college and in grad school and in our careers. And she just recently got married too, so it's kind of
Oh
like
yeah.
each survivor-versary, we kind of get to talk about, I guess, similar things. And
Yeah.
also, quick little side note, in the
What's that?
pods was the date of my survivor-versary, so I
Oh yeah.
didn't get to spend it with Tori last year, and I got to spend it with you.
Put it
But that was
together.
like a really neat moment too, because you kind of substituted in,
Mhm.
very well for Tori in that moment.
Yeah. That was special. That was really special. Hmm. Hmm. You like bring me back to like the first time we spoke about that. Yeah. I'm like, I can vividly remember it.
It's been over a year now.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy. You gave kind of the general breakdown of it, but like the details of the ways in which you survived it is nothing short of
Yeah,
God's intervention.
sure.
That y'all made it out of that vehicle, walking and running and moving the way y'all can move. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like a walking miracle.
Testimony number 2. Day 1, and we're covering 2 already. So do we want to dive in a little deeper about the wedding itself and like what, for us as believers, kind of what that
Yeah, I guess,
means?
yeah. If we back up from the anniversary to the wedding day,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one, how'd you feel? Like, kind of in that space in
Oh, on
general?
wedding day?
Yeah.
Over the moon. It's crazy because everybody says, like, slow down and be in the moment on your wedding day. I had so many people give me that advice, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, of course, it'll be easy. But even like without my phone, and even like we had, a really good team and orchestrators, so like I didn't have to be like, oh, flowers are here. Where does this go? Where's mom's calling me? My sister's calling me, all the
Yeah.
chaos that usually happens on wedding day. And
Yeah.
even still, I feel like it went by in the blink of an eye,
Mm-hmm.
which it's really cool that we have ours filmed and kind of get to revisit. But
Yeah.
what I won't forget is just how at peace I was that day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, things felt so easy and so light. And I just knew that this was the right decision. For the public, no one knows really, but we never talked about what we were going to say. For
Mm-hmm.
the typical person getting married, you don't have these conversations like, are you going to say yes or no? It's like you wouldn't have, you wouldn't be going through all this if that was still a question, I would hope. But for us
Yeah.
in this situation with the show, a lot of couples did kind of have those light conversations of like where they stood and where they
Oh
were
yeah.
leaning. And some people make the decision right there at the moment at the altar. And we knew that wasn't going to be us. Like, we would not have even been going to the altar. We wouldn't even gotten engaged if this
Yeah.
wasn't like the real deal.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any apprehension that you might say no. And I
Mm-hmm.
knew that this just felt right. And our friends and family were there. Like, it was just the most easy, beautiful day.
Yeah. I saw a comment online and it was like, oh, we knew y'all were getting married because Vic's whole family was there and his sister
Yeah.
was officiating. We know.
Imagine all that hype and then.
No, that would have been bananas.
Right.
That would have been bananas. But yeah, just like you, babe. Like, it's crazy because sometimes Christine could say things that I'm already thinking, or I'll say things that she's already thinking just in our own private life, moving around and things like
Yeah.
that. But I was having a similar feeling like that entire time. I'm like, I already know it's game time, where we're going with things.
Yeah.
So it was a lot more excitement, like seeing you come down the aisle, Don looking dapper, bringing you down there, seeing like my loved ones on one side, smiling, all dressed up and looking good. People who probably haven't been together in a long time, and then on your side, your family. I'm just like, man, because like I think the experience for the groom is totally different. Like, you're taking in everything happening while you're waiting up there. So I'm just taking it all in, and my mind is connecting the dots, and I'm getting more excited, more excited. I can't wait. And then you come down, and I'm just like crescendo. Like, crescendo. Let's do this.
What did it mean for you to have Chandel, your sister,
Mm.
pay for us?
I mean, I think it meant everything. I think
Yeah.
it meant everything because one thing we connected on was family, our family. And I think she was kind of representative of the merging of the families. Like, even in the entire kind of atmosphere, the conversations we've been having, it's like all of our family members are here. The family member is uniting our families under God. Like, I'm like, there's no other way. Like, I could have painted this. So it was very meaningful that Chandel would, like, step up, do that, and do it well.
It really was perfect.
Yeah, yeah. Especially y'all meeting. Like,
I know.
yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I met her 5 minutes before, and then the next 5 minutes she's marrying us, and the next 5 minutes she's my sister.
Yeah.
You know, like it was a crazy progression within what, like an hour. So really cool. Yeah, really good stuff.
Yeah, rapid timeline. Because the way things happen after that, I mean, even before that, like we're getting to know each other more and more, our families more and more. But then after the wedding, it's like, oh, family event, family event, family event. So you're just
Yeah.
immersed
Right.
into it, into the family.
Yep. Yep. So the covenant piece.
Yeah.
You wanna
Yeah.
you
So
wanna try to explain? I feel like you're much more better at
yeah,
putting it in layman terms.
to some extent, right? And I think so one, we both wouldn't have been face to face there if we knew we didn't want to go into this
Yeah.
together, right? Because I think there's a lot more weight we put on marriage than maybe relative to others who may have different views on marriage, right? And I think some folks might say, okay, marriage is a contract that's happening between two people. There's a paper, the government's involved, you're lined up, and that's how it is, right? If things don't go a certain way based off what's outlined, we break apart, and that's that. Things are set aside here, whatever the case may be, right? It's kind of more transactional in that way, whereas as a covenant and just from a faith-based lens, there's a different feel to it, right? It's not a contract, right? Like it's not transactional in that way. It's a promise. It's an agreement between Christine and I with the Lord that we are now one, right?
I think it was maybe our marriage book that we did like from this past year. They had like a triangle, which was just like a simple, easy way to put it. You know, it's not just like a dot, me and Vic. It's actually like the triangle, me, you, and then God like at the center of it.
Yeah, throughout all of it. And I think what that does is outside of just honoring him, it just gives us also a foundation of what we're both in submission to and who we're both in submission to. So regardless of like when we have moments of, you know, our flesh, because we're imperfect like everyone else. So we get impatient, we get frustrated, we get upset, all those things. But what brings us back and guides us to each other each and every time, no matter what's happening, is our understanding that like we are one flesh.
Yeah.
Right. We are not a paper that we sign and it's like, no, like we are one flesh. Yeah.
Yeah. It adds such like a layer of security to it too. You know, I mean, I know if, let's say, finding somebody that wasn't on the same wavelength as me in faith, like what that would have looked like in a relationship, I'm already imagining how difficult it would be to really be able to like fully trust somebody and to let your wall down and to feel secure. Because when you have that faith and you kind of know whose greater purpose you're under and you know who you serve, like a lot of those qualities kind of just naturally come into play. And knowing that it's directly involved in our relationship, like, you know, I really have not ever trusted somebody with my heart, soul, mind, the whole thing, like as I had with you. And if we didn't have that covenant, if it was just the contract, like, sure, I would say, like, I trust you. Obviously, I would hope you wouldn't be marrying someone that you didn't trust and didn't love. But, like, it is, I don't even know how to express it to the extent that it needs to be, but it is, like, the ultimate extra layer security blanket added to it. And I don't, you know, it's just mind-boggling to me how other couples are so successful, like without that fundamental, you know.
Yeah, there's beauty in that too.
There is, yeah.
I think part of it also is kind of what the covenant also expects of you, right? There's even more layers to it. Like one is that I need to. I want to do this. So it's not that I want to do this. So I want to do this. I need to do this. I have to love you, right? And it's like a vice versa kind of component that we choose intentionally to pour into each other and submit to each other's
Yeah.
needs out of reverence for God who's in our union. Like I think that's kind of folded into things. And I think there's a precursor to that though, right? I feel like you can get into a covenantal marriage and it be terribly go terrible.
Definitely.
Well,
Definitely.
and I think part of it also is how we view our faith. Faith is so divisive because
Yeah.
it's been weaponized, it's harmed, it's done a lot of ill things
Right.
because there's faith and then there's people who want to practice it, but people, including us, are imperfect.
Yeah.
So when we try, we mess it up, right?
And we mess it up all the time, and we will continue to do so. But
Yeah.
that's another like great part of believing in God is having that grace, though, having
Yeah.
mercy and having grace, because yeah, although like faith was such a fundamental of our relationship, like that does not make our marriage any better than anyone else's. That does not make us individually any better than anyone else, but it works for us. Yeah,
Yeah.
it works for us. And we know when, like you mentioned, like being impatient or getting a little crazy with our words, or whenever we have like those moments, or maybe things are just like a little off, like maybe just
Mm-hmm.
I mean, marriage and relationships ebbs and flow, but
Mm-hmm.
we know what we're always coming back to. And it's like really amazing that I've seen sometimes it could be like a simple prayer or a simple devotional or a simple like
Yeah.
whatever it is that we may do, and how it just kind of seems to rebalance and recenter
Yeah.
our marriage.
Yeah. I think it's a really good, healthy like practice because
And that's what it is, practice. Like it takes work. Yeah.
yeah, I mean AI would probably say practice, but no, we gotta practice because it's
Yeah.
one thing. It's one thing I remember, and I feel like I was one of these people too at a point, right? Like you take up the mantle and you're like, this is my faith, right? And people see you and they're like, okay, cool, he's a man of faith. That's whatever. Like we still vibe together whether I'm a person of faith or not, whatever. But then you meet someone else, let's say, like I met you and you're saying you're a woman of faith, but the way we show up is not of God. Like
Yeah.
like our tongues are crazy. We're like angry, like all
Mm-hmm.
these crazy things. Again, those are natural human emotions, but I think we need to be on the same page too in terms of how we practice and show up in our faith, or at least how we try to. And I think there's been versions of me in the past where, like, especially when I finally did come back to the Father in that way, where it's like, no, this is not the best version. This is not the best example of what it looks like to be a God-fearing man, and I want to do better in that way.
Yeah.
And I think people can easily go down a slippery slope where it's like, I met a woman of faith, I met a man of faith. Let's get
Yeah.
together, get married, we'll be perfect. Nah, dog. We got to see how you speak about your faith, how you live it out, right? And then you can kind of make those decisions. So when we met in the pods,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, okay, you're a woman of faith, and those, and there were other women of faith in the pods too. But then through your words and through your story, through your testimony, through the things I knew you were working on and how you moved, the way you practiced it, like I'm like that we're on the same path right now.
Yeah, 'cause it's not something you can just like check off the box and
You
then
can't.
have it, and the goal is for that to continue to grow, individually and in our relationship. Like it's not like we achieve this and you're this and then like you're good for life. Like this is like a conscious decision and like a constant in the back of your mind and constant work every single day. And hopefully for the rest of our lives we will continue to
Mm-hmm.
grow and to develop, and again individually in our own journeys, but also within our marriage. So
Yeah, and it's good work. Like I don't
yeah,
want y'all to think, oh man, I'm toiling, I'm
more
hurting.
work.
No,
Yeah,
it's like good work. Like because we know it's gonna pour back into our covenant, and we know we're pleasing our God, right? So at the end of so it's good work. But let's pivot a little bit. So it's our anniversary, right? What would we envision for the next year if we were to say when we have our second
yeah.
anniversary? Like, what are some things we want to achieve, or how do we want to grow by then?
There's so many different aspects. I'm like,
Yeah,
emotionally, financially.
all of it. Could be anything.
Yeah, I think this year is going to be a lot of us just continuing to get to know one another deeper.
Mhm.
And I mean that like not what's your favorite color and like these things, that you do in dating. I mean more like, for example, we're kind of starting like a bit of more business side of things together, right? Like more work
True.
things and kind of taking on you guys through all this. And so like this is
Yeah.
a huge change and a huge adjustment for us. So I'm really excited to see how life pans out for us in that aspect, like being on joint emails and planning events together and, whatever, just like something new and different, not only
Yeah.
for us, but as a couple. So that's going to be really fun and exciting.
Mm.
We have been in an apartment, for almost a full year now. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully making good chips away at our savings to eventually buy our forever home.
Yeah.
We do want to stay in Columbus.
Yep.
So we want to kind of like start planning out like what community, what areas like we want to look into, school systems, those kind of things. So yeah, what about you? What do you want to add to that?
Just the community we've been building. I'd like to see kind of where the community goes in the next year in terms of like friends and family and kind of just, I don't know, seeing Colton more,
Yeah.
your mom more, my family more, my friends, our church family who we had to lie to about how we met. So forgive us for we're sorry for lying about how we met. I think we told them we met at a basketball game and things like that.
Well, we said that we got set up on a blind date at a basketball game. So we were trying to like.
So we lied. We lied to our marriage friends group.
We tried to make it as innocent as we could.
As possible. Yeah. But I'm really looking forward to kind of nurturing that even more. And yeah, just being with you.
Yeah, a lot of it's going to be normal stuff now. Like we're totally out in the public and we're just going to be like any other couple, just living our lives, doing the normal things that you would be doing in your second year of marriage and focusing on us and what makes us happy and loving each other and loving others and just kind of seeing where this year takes us.
Yeah. And I mean, something we spoke about is that we expect each year in our marriage to kind of have different seasons. Like our first year of marriage may not feel or look like our second year of marriage. That's something we spoke about. And I know in our first year, one of the things towards the end that I think I mentioned was like the work-life balance piece.
Yeah.
Something I've been working on forever, trying to get better and better at, and I think I have. With us taking on a business and the public and kind of creating the space with everyone, it's now also something on my mind.
Yeah.
Is that
we'll be busy.
Yeah, and then a year from now, that it's still
it's gonna go quick.
Yeah, a good balance.
Yeah.
So this was a pretty cool conversation. Our first filmed episode of maybe many more to come. We want to know more about you too. Like, where are you from? What is your story? We'd like you to maybe put something in the comments telling us a bit about yourself, what you would like to see more of, so we can build alongside you too.
Yeah. We're really enjoying kind of this community as a whole. And, it's not just about you guys knowing us, but we kind of want to, like you mentioned, have like a bit more of a community and just feel more connected. Like we don't want this to feel workish. Like this is fun and enjoyment and like for a greater purpose. And so, we really encourage y'all to be a part of this.
Yeah. Oh, and shout out to J Squared Candles Company. We could throw that in there too. They're like a local candle company.
A couple hidden around.
They reached out to us and hooked us up with some candles. And Christine and I were talking and we're like, hey, let's bring it to set with us. And they're potent. These are some potent candles.
Yeah, they will last for sure. And they're online too. So not just local to Columbus, but they're an online presence. So
True.
Check them out.
All right.
Okay,
We're done.
I'm happy you're here.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Gracious Heavenly Father, let this union continuously show the world that love ain't blind, that it exists and it's real because you are. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.